We have made insane progress on our fake Lamborghini drift car build in just 4.5 weeks. But today is probably the most exciting video of the whole series, and that is because we are installing the turbo onto our 13B rotary engine. And of course I have Bailey here to help us because he's the turbo manifold wizard in our friend group, and I know nothing about building a turbo manifold. Not only that, I would not trust myself with a MIG welder welding it together.
MIG welder? I don't know if I could classify myself as a professional because I have yet to be paid for a turbo manifold, but I have made one before, so that makes me the expert.
He's not getting paid for this one either. Joke's on you.
Help me guys, please. So what do we got? We got a 3582, little 8.2 rear housing.
You said it's too small. I think it's just small enough.
I think the rear housing might be a touch small, but there's only one way to find out.
By the way, if you haven't seen Bailey's channel, go and check it out. He's almost, or probably by the time you guys see this, at 1,000 subscribers, but he just got himself a turbo Falcon.
No, don't promote that. I have a really cool build as well, guys.
Nah, just the Falcon. He's also got a Barra R33 Skyline that he's building.
That's the one you should watch.
I'm all about the Falcon, let's be real. His videos are fantastic. The link to his channel is the top comment on this video. Go and subscribe, support the people that support me. You will not regret it. So turbo manifold, well, it's not a big turbo, but it does have some size to it compared to, I would say, the room that we have to put the turbo in.
Yes, we don't have much room. So the first part of building your manifold is figuring out where you want this.
As close to the front so that everyone can see it as possible.
I don't know if that's what you're getting today, sir. It's quite tight there. Firstly, we're actually going to have to put the lower intake manifold on this car to figure out what our clearance is going to be like in that area.
Yes.
From there, we can sort of figure out where we can put this, whether it go at the front or the back. I know Mike's going to want this thing to sound nuts, so he's going to want a nice dose pipe on it. So yes, maybe if we push it a little further back, we can get a longer one for him, which should sound pretty good.
I do like long ones. So.
Yeah, he likes big, long, fat ones. So.
I am beyond excited.
Before we start building the turbo manifold, we need to remove everything we don't need from the intake manifold and fit it to the 13B motor so we can build the custom manifold around it and make sure the manifolds stay well clear of each other. We also chop the top off the intake manifold as we'll be building a custom plenum in a later video.
So Bailey is currently figuring out the position of our turbo and where exactly it's going to sit, and we think it's probably going to be somewhere around here. Nice and straight though. Bailey's a bit on the piss at the moment.
Yeah, so there's a few things you got to keep in mind when you start positioning where you want your turbo. Mostly like wastegate position as well. We need to be able to fit a wastegate on a turbo manifold. You can't have it sit too tight near any of the chassis rails or strut downs. But also something to keep in mind is turbos have oil and water lines, so you need to make sure you can actually get those in there too.
Our water comes in and out from here and here. On some nice AN fittings that we'll weld on, which is pretty cool.
And also, you want it to look good, because what's the point of doing all this if it looks bad?
I know, we can't hide the turbo. It needs to be, it's like really the crowning jewel of the engine bay. So what is this?
That is 50 NB tubing, cut in a few places to look like that.
Rotaries are crazy because they have, like usually when we're building something for like the E36, mini pipes are had.
Yeah, but they're also a lot smaller.
Oh yes,
yeah,
okay.
Unfortunately for us, like Renesys motors just have the weirdest shaped ports. They're big rectangles, and unfortunately they're 50 mil tall for us. So we're using 50 NB piping, which is quite large. So when we say 50 NB, I mean 50 mil internal diameter for the pipe. Usually on like a Fivo or a Chaser or a normal car, you'd use something similar to, or something closer to 32 NB.
Oh dang, so we're pretty big.
Tiny, yeah, so we're big. Hopefully that doesn't ruin our throttle response. Usually when you go a smaller pipe, you'll get a punchier feeling car. 50 NB is quite large, so being a rotary it should be okay, but we'll just trial and error it, I guess.
Yeah. We did hit a bit of a roadblock as I accidentally ordered a T4 instead of a T3 flange. Luckily we had this eBay turbo lying around.
It did have a T3 flange on the cast that we chopped off and we're going to use for our manifolds. But shout out to Burnouts Unlimited because they sent us this flange express. They also did the flange for the turbo engine side, and they do a bunch of flanges, a bunch of stuff. They supply two-step garage, everything. So please check out burnoutsunlimited.com.
So Bailey got cracking with the turbo manifold, starting with the collector. He cut it down to fit our second-hand T3 flange and tacked it all together. Next up, we bolted the collector to the turbo and set it in the engine bay in the spot where it's going to live, before tacking on some steel rod between the engine side flange and the turbo to hold it all in place. Then it's back out and onto the welding table to connect it all together. Watching Bailey do his thing, I have massive respect for fabricators, as this truly is an art form, putting together a puzzle for adults. I'm pretty sure I accidentally stared at the welding like 5 times while filming this too.
Well, that was a very fun process to watch, but check this out. Bailey has been hard at work, and look at this, dude. That looks just absolutely ridiculous.
This does look quite manly.
I was gonna say, like,
Commonly, I'm not sexist.
wow, you've just entered the cancel my channel culture.
Yeah, it does look quite beefy, does it not? These are some big noodles, some spicy crankskis we've got going on here.
Dude, I'm really happy with my mistake, if I'm honest, because
Yeah.
that looks absolutely redonkulous.
Careful, she is hot.
It is quite warm, but it's nice because
We're going to now chuck it on the car and make sure I made something that actually fits.
that's a good idea. So we're actually going to test fit the turbo and the manifold, but then Bailey's going to take it away and finish weld it himself, which this is like the most exciting thing ever. It's like freaking Christmas time right now, but let's go. You get to do the honors because you made it. Please fit, please fit, please fit.
It's so hot, I don't know where to hold it from. And she goes. It is hard to see where the
Oh, you're almost on the start. There you go.
Did I miss? I missed.
No, you're on.
Am I?
Yep.
No, completely. Did I? What? Oh,
That's it.
bang, dude. Look at that.
Dude, look how well that fits.
Let's chuck a nut on it.
That's crazy. That looks absolutely awesome. But, moment of truth.
Yes. Let's see if the turbo fits. Because if it doesn't, it is scrap metal.
Yeah, we're just gonna start again. And the turbo is not officially mounted. But that looks so freaking good. What do you think? Oof, that looks good, dude. I'm freaking stoked. Intercooler piping should be pretty tidy.
Yeah, I think we'll route it sort of
We
down
might
here,
have to, yes.
through there,
Yeah.
around.
And around to this side, and then up here we'll have a pleated intercooler piping will go down there, but that looks absolutely crazy.
So Bailey took the turbo manifold to his own shop and finish welded it there, and he even gave it a lick of paint. What an absolute champion.
And Bailey has absolutely outdone himself with this one. Honestly, get yourself a friend like Bailey because this is absolutely exceptional work. I'm so lucky to have friends like Bailey who can help me out with this kind of stuff. This build would not be possible without people like him. But now's the really exciting part because we get to fit the turbo and the manifold finished onto the motor. Of course, it'll just be dummy fit because all of this has to come back out so we can lay paint and make it look all beautiful. But man, I'm so excited. Let's go ahead and throw this in the car. That went on so easily. Now for the turbo. And I honestly couldn't be happier with the end result. Look at that. It's so chunky and the position of our turbo is perfect. You can still see it, which is really important for me when you pop the front trunk. You really want the turbo to punch you in the face, and that certainly does, but it's in the perfect position where we can make intercooler piping really simply to our Phoenix intercooler. We can get a big 4-inch intake on this thing, which will likely angle down this way, and we can easily get a nice big dump pipe through and out under the car. I'll show you guys what it looks like inside the car. So this is what it looks like from behind, and it is just such a good looking piece of kit, but you can also see we have so much room for the dump pipe through here, which is really, really nice. And that is just a huge piece of the puzzle taken care of now. And of course, now the turbo is mounted, we can move forward with so many other things. One of those things, of course, being our firewall inside the car. This is the last piece of the puzzle we need to fully enclose the cabin and protect us. But more importantly, it's also going to allow us to mount the steering column and be able to steer the car again, because I'm not going to lie to you, it's a giant pain in the ass pushing this thing around the shop at the moment with no ability to move the front wheels and steer it. So here's what I'm thinking for our firewall. We're gonna go straight through here to where the gearbox angles up straight and then back up through to the other side. We're gonna meet this bar here. Then we're gonna have a removable piece that goes up here so that we can still access the top strut bolts on the car. And that's just one of the big challenges when we're building something as weird and creative as this car. We have to find ways to continue to be able to access the things we need to remove and reinstall. Ultimately, that means we need to have a removable windscreen as well. I've already made plans for the windscreen, and we're actually going to be running a special custom polycarbonate windscreen. The front windscreen will simply bolt in, therefore we can easily remove it, remove this top panel, access everything that we need to. Also, just a side note, a genuine Lamborghini Diablo windscreen cost about 4,000 Australian dollars, and that's if you can even find one. So there wasn't much of an option for us in terms of getting genuine glass. Anyway, enough waffle, let's go ahead and start making our firewall.
We're using stainless steel welding rod to capture the shape of the car and figure out exactly where the firewall is going to go within the engine bay.
Alright, so we have our little template with the rod here. This is basically how the firewall is going to go, and we're going to basically meet it up to here, and then we'll do another piece down to there, but this is probably going to be 3 pieces in itself. So this is really about to test my fabrication skills to the limit basically, but there's only one way to learn, and that is giving it a crack. So let's give it a crack.
We start by tracing our new shape onto cardboard, then we simply cut out the shape with a pair of scissors. After a quick test fit, it's time to trace the shape onto steel before cutting it out with a grinder. Then we bend it to shape, and look at that, it fits like a glove. We do the same for the other side, and look at that, it's starting to look pretty good. Then it's pretty much a rinse and repeat process for the rest of the firewall.
So we're making some real progress on our firewall now, and it's time to start tacking some pieces in. Also, if my audio is way clearer now, it's because I've purchased some new DJI microphones, and I would love to hear your feedback in the comments below. I'm constantly trying to keep the quality of the videos as high as I can on this channel. Fingers crossed it sounds good. I have no idea until I go into post editing, but we've got our corner pieces here now, and basically this is somewhat how it's going to look. I've already done the other side as well. It's currently just sitting there, but I'm actually really happy with the way this all looks so far. We kind of abandoned the first shape that I was going to do, and that is simply because as I was making the shapes, it kind of naturally just came together this way much easier. But let's go ahead and tack these pieces in. Oof, that is looking good.
Time to fill in the last giant hole in the middle, and this was probably the hardest shape to get right. It looks kind of weird on the cardboard, but you just have to trust the process, and 60% of the time, it works every time.
And just like that, we've gone from these random shaped pieces of cardboard to this pretty cool looking firewall. I am super happy with how that all came out. It definitely wasn't the shape that we planned, but it kind of worked itself out organically in the end. And I think this looks pretty darn good. Obviously, it's in its complete raw state at the moment, and there's still quite a bit of work here left to be done, but it all fits pretty nicely with the BMW E36 body. And basically what we'll do from here on is do spot welds everywhere around the setup, and then we'll seam seal it so it all looks super tidy and it's nice and fire resistant. But look in the engine bay, or engine cave as Woz was calling it before. Now that it's all enclosed, it looks so cool, and the front trunk is really starting to take shape now. There's definitely still a bit of work to be done on this side. I got rid of this corner down here because that's where our clutch is going to go, and basically there was no room there with the way that that shaped in, so we're going to square that off. But overall, I'm really happy with that job. It was very, very challenging, but very similar to the gearbox tunnel on the rear wheel drive Evo. Super challenging, but very satisfying when it all comes together. And that is where we're gonna finish off on this video. I need to go home right now and edit this for you guys. I'm trying to add as much substance as I can into each video. Massive shout out to Bailey. You guys can help him hit 1,000 subscribers today. So go check out his channel. His videos are amazing. Give him a sub. And if you feel like it, subscribe to my channel as well. I'm putting everything I have into this build, trying to make the videos as fun as possible for you guys. So it really means a lot when you hit that subscribe button. But thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you in the next video. Trying to smash this build out before Christmas. Who knows what's gonna happen, but thank you guys. I'll see you in the next one. You peace. Bye. We have a firewall now, so no more fire coming into the cabin, which is always a good thing. Bye.